skills for inclusion and empowerment. It's organized by the All Digital Network and has been running since 2010, and it has helped over this years 1.4 million people to get online on the first time or enhance their digital skills, exploiting the benefits and opportunities of digital transformation. Every year, the awareness raising campaign brings over about 100,000 Europeans, participants from more than 20 European countries, in offline and online events, and to give them the opportunities tackling digital transformation. The campaign is taking place in digital competence centers, libraries, community centers, schools, and other venues across Europe. The motto of the 2022 campaign is to enhance your digital skills, which is our call for action. For all Europeans to take an active part in digital learning and education. And the campaign was opened last week by EU Commissioner Maria Gabriela last Monday. And the campaign is running from the 14th of March until the 14th of April. And among other things, she said that we are at a turning point for development of digital skills, and we need the support of all education and training stakeholders. And she mentioned, I count on you to carry on bringing this vision forward. Now, we are the second week of the campaign, and the overarching topic of the second week of the campaign is fostering digital literacy and tackling disinformation. And the launch event of the campaign, which is happening today, is entitled Fostering Digital Skills and the Value of Certification. The second week of All Digital Weeks campaign is kindly supported by Certiport, who is dedicated to helping people succeed through certification. Certiport is a leading provider of certification exam development, delivery, and program management services. Today's event will showcase what Certiport partners and all digital members do together and provide information on skilling solutions that can help all digital partners in their work. I would like to briefly introduce today's speakers, and thank you very much for accepting our invitation. Fiona Fanning, the Director of European Affairs for Certiport, is responsible for Europe policy, international public affairs, and funding. Fiona is also an advisory board member of All Digital. Then we have Arek Jaworski with us, the Director of Education. He's responsible for Certiport's learning and certification programs in IT and entrepreneurship in over 20 countries across Europe and Central Asia. And a warm welcome to our panelists, Gabriela Ford. Hello, Gabi, who's representing Certipro Education, the Certiport partner in Romania. We have Laurentiu Bunescu. Hello, Laurentiu, Head of Digital Education Programs at Foundation EOS Romania. And we have Guillem Porres. Hello, Guillem, and nice to see you again. Project Manager in social, educational and inclusion area of Foundation Esplai from Spain. Before giving you the floor, I would like to ask my colleague Gabriela Ruseva to jump in for a few moments, talk about the selected topic of the week, which is fostering digital literacy and tackling disinformation, and also to mention the upcoming 2 webinars which we are going to have during this week. So Gabriela, if you are with us, I would like to invite you.
Yes, I'm here, and hello everyone. I would also like to welcome you to this webinar, and it's great to have you here, and thank you Certiport for supporting it. Indeed, digital and media literacy has been in the focus of the All Digital Week forever, and it has culminated in a project that we had a few years ago called Get Your Facts Straight. Since many years, we are having media literacy as one of the topics of the All Digital Weeks, like this year. And this year, it's even a topic for a full week, because as you may have heard, this year we have the All Digital Weeks, and media literacy has even a bigger visibility and importance. So yes, I would like to let you know about the 2 other events that we are organizing in the framework of this week. On Wednesday morning, we will talk about digital tools for active citizenship for young people. So how to support them to use digital technology, not only to send photos and be on social media, but actually to really engage with democratic processes, to engage with public authorities, to express their opinion, to have their say in important societal issues online. It's in the framework of a project that is called Action, and it is exactly for this, activating young people to be active citizens through online tools. We will share the tools that were selected by the project. I will not tell you which they are. We will have to join the event in order to find out. And also we'll invite participants to share more tools and experiences in this, because we know that even though young people are using digital tools all the time, only less than 20%, actually around 17% of the activities that they do online are related somehow to civic participation, which is a very little share of what they are doing online. So yes, if you want to join this event, you can check the calendar of international events on the Digital Week website and register for it. You still have time for this, and we will be very happy to see you there. The next event, which will take place on Thursday afternoon, is an event hosted by 2 of our projects. They are related in terms of their aim and focus topic. They are both focusing on media literacy for young people and students and teachers. One of them is focused on the topic of online hate speech. This is the Amelie project. And the other one is focused on creating audiovisual content, so films, short films, so it's related more to film literacy. And both approaches aim to increase the critical thinking of young people when they are using digital technology, to put them in the place of content creators in the case of the CROW project, or to motivate them to think about the way that they express themselves online and the language that they use in the case of Amelie. We will present the 2 project methodologies, and we will present also 2 very useful and straightforward documents and tools. The manifesto of non-hostile communication, which was developed in the framework of another project and is used now in Amelie, and the manifesto on creative thinking, which is part of the CROW project. And these 2 manifestos include really very straightforward principles in these 2 fields, which are aimed at increasing young people's critical thinking in their use of digital technology. We will hear from some teachers sharing experience from the field, from the ground, and we will discuss both methodologies. Both events are very interesting, I can assure you, and I hope to see many of you there. So thank you very much, Peter, for giving me this opportunity. I wish you a good opening webinar, and again, looking forward to see you at the 2 other events.
Thank you so much. Am I muted? No, thank you so much, Gabriela, for joining us. And now, not to delay the webinar any further, I would like to invite Fiona Fanning, Director of European Affairs for Certiport, to take the floor. And thank you very much again for supporting and supporting the 2nd week of the campaign, overall the All Digital Weeks campaign, and co-organizing with us this launch event. Thank you, Fiona. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Peter. And also a big thanks to you and your team for organizing All Digital Weeks. I've had the privilege over the years to see this growing from strength to strength. Remember when it was Get Online Weeks that long ago, and then All Digital Week, and now 5 weeks, which is fantastic. So congratulations to you, Peter, and to your team in All Digital, and to everybody in all countries around Europe for working hard and making this a real success. We've had the pleasure of sponsoring this campaign several times, and we're delighted to do so again this year. And our interest in this really comes from the core of who we are as an organization and what we do. So we would love to see a world where digital skills, or the lack of them, is not an obstacle any longer. And we think the best way to do this is through individuals learning, having the opportunity to practice what they've learned through assessment, and then validating those skills through certification. And our mission as an organization is, as you said, is to help people be successful through this process with certification as the capstone. And this is why we work on it. And it's why this campaign is close to our hearts. So this year, there are two things that I think are particularly worthy of note. The first is that digital skills matter more now than ever before, and the stakes are really high. And the second is that the value of digital skills is accentuated by certification. So let me maybe take a minute to explain what I mean. Over the past couple of years, World Events has really brought digital skills into very clear focus. Before the pandemic, we were on a nice trajectory of digital transformation, and then COVID happened and rapidly changed everything, basically pushed the fast forward button on digital transformation, and we weren't really ready for that. In education, for example, it exposed the digital divides and the skills gaps that already existed. And as schools shut down and education moved online, digital skills essentially became a prerequisite for accessing education. And education, as we know, is a fundamental right. It's enshrined in the Charter of Rights of the EU and the European Convention on Human Rights. And all of a sudden, we're in a situation where learners weren't able to access that education unless a couple of enabling factors were in place, and digital skills were one of those. But those who were without digital skills in the pandemic, and there were hundreds of millions of them, according to UNESCO, weren't able to access that right. So we've got to a point where digital skills are a prerequisite for education, but also for so many other things. They really matter more than ever before. And the stakes are also higher than ever before. And just to give you an example from current affairs of how high they are, if we look at Ukraine, now let me just say, first of all, that it is tragic, it is heartbreaking, it is a war that Russia has ruthlessly and inhumanely waged on Ukraine, and it is devastating on so many levels. It has, however, shown the power of technology and how it can be leveraged by those who have the skills to use it. And it can be used for transparency, it can be used for visibility of information, and it can be used for solidarity between people, matching the needs, being able to find accommodation for refugees. It's really interesting to look at some of the steps that have been taken by the Ministry of Digital Transformation in Ukraine. Within a couple of days of the war starting, the ministry started undertaking what's called digital diplomacy. So they basically started campaigning some of the US tech giants to cut off Russia, to stop doing business in Russia. And there's 400 or so of them that have. They started accepting digital currency, cryptocurrency, to finance the military. And through the state-run crypto fund in Ukraine, they've got about 50 million euro or dollars. Elon Musk, for example, has even gotten into the play where they lobby to have his Starlink internet service moved so that it would assure communication in Ukraine. There's a chatbot that has been created for citizens to allow them to submit images or video of where the Russian troops are so that this can inform the Ukrainian response. And we're even hearing about an IT army. This is a cohort of hackers who are working on targets identified by the ministry in Ukraine. And this just shows how much digital skills are enablers. But the stakes are also really high in terms of the dangers. So this is a war that isn't just fought in person. It's not just kinetic. It's an information war. It's a cyber war. I mean, the terminology of an IT army, this is new terminology, and brings with it the dangers that can be posed by disinformation, by deep fakes, and by the role of technology and disseminating propaganda, reaching more people faster than ever before, but equally the removal of access to digital comms platforms by a regime can be a tool in manipulating and suppressing. It's a means to stifle resistance. It's a means to silence dissent. And yet those with the skills to install a simple VPN on their router can circumvent all of that. So digital skills are essentially becoming a key element of democracy and access to information. The stakes have really never been higher. So when we hear the promises coming from the Commission about a digital decade, as von der Leyen has said, we absolutely welcome this. And the timely declaration on digital rights and principles for the digital decade, I was relieved to see that in this, not only are we underlining and reminding that everyone has the right to education, but we are also proposing to expand that everyone should be able to acquire all basic and advanced digital skills. And we absolutely need this, and we at Certiport fully support this. So we also think that there is something more. We think that education and training can be complemented by and expressed in terms of certification. And this is my second message, that the value of digital skills are accentuated by certification. Now, certification does a number of important things. It can live within the formal education system, complementing existing academic programs with work-ready skills. But for areas that the formal education system doesn't address, certification provides that perfect complement that allows the skills gaps to be bridged. So completing this trajectory of learning, practicing, and then the capstone of certification has a number of different benefits. For example, for job seekers or employees, it is, first and foremost, a validation of knowledge, but also provides increased marketability or employability. We know from research that employers, 91% in one study, show that they look for industry certification in particular in the hiring process. We see research that those who are already certified earn more than their counterparts who are not. For learners, for people in education, it provides a really valuable return on investment, and also applies to projects, funded projects, by the way, as people increasingly look for a way to measure what is invested in education and training. Not only that, but it enhances academic performance. And there's a really interesting study that has been conducted over about 6 years now, where a comparison was done between certification integrated into the curriculum and not. And in all instances of the KPIs that were measured and revalidated over these 6 years, certification has had a hugely positive impact on students. Students have higher marks in school, they have higher graduation rates, absenteeism decreases, and dropout rates also decrease. But I think the value of certification is really for everyone, everywhere. And what resonates most with me, and I think the ramifications of this are quite valuable, is what it does to people's confidence. The boost of confidence that people get, that sense of achievement, having an international body validate the skills, it provides them with a motivation to learn more. And the pride that you see when folks, whether they're 80 or whether they're 18, achieve their goals, get the results, they get a certificate, and they've proven to themselves and to others that they have done this. And I think the ramification of this for lifelong learning is so important and has such potential benefits to society. So digital skills matter more than ever before. The stakes are really high. Let's make digital skills a right. Certification valorizes these digital skills. They are accentuated by certification. Let's leverage this more. So we still have a lot to do. I'm sure you all know the stats on digital skills in Europe. For those of you who don't already work with Certiport partners in your country or work with us, we do encourage you to do so. There is a lot still to be done, and it has never been more important to do it. And together we can do it faster. So thank you very much for your attention. That's my introductory speech. So I have the pleasure of also being the MC for this event. So I will now pass on to the next step. And now I'm going to give my colleague, Arek, the floor. So Arek as Peter mentioned, is the Director of Education and is responsible for Certiport's learning and certification programs in over 20 countries. He has over 20 years experience in education and assessment globally with a bunch of really big names like Cambridge and the British Council, and of course, Pearson and Certiport. So Arek, thank you so much for being here. You have 10 minutes and the floor is yours.
Thank you. I hope you can see my presentation because I try to use my digital skills to share my screen. So I hope it's successful. I can't see any of you. So if you can say yes, that would be nice.
I see you, Arek, but I don't see your presentation.
See, once more. How about now?
There we go. Yep, can see it now.
Okay, good. So I'm going to talk about Certiport and about what we do, and also in terms of skilling and certification. Well, as you probably know, Certiport is part of Pearson. Pearson is, I believe, the largest educational organization in the world. And our mission is to help people to bridge the skills gap through skilling and certification. And I'd like to highlight that we not only do certification, but we also help people actually to get there by providing them with learning materials, practice for certification. We work very closely with various international organizations, including the European Union. We are working closely with Digital Skills and Jobs Coalition. We are involved in Code Week. We work together with World Economic Forum, and of course we work with All Digital. We have global footprint. We are present in 148 countries in the world, -2, Russia and Belarus. We're not present there anymore at the moment, where we run about 15,000 Certiport authorized testing centers. And in most major countries, we also have solution providers or partners who look after those testing centers. And many of them are present here in our meeting today. When it comes to our programs, there's a number of programs that we developed together with leading IT organizations such as Microsoft, Adobe, Autodesk, and there's also a number of programs that we develop on our own, which are brand neutral, which can also be useful in some situations. So this would be, for instance, information technology specialist or IC3 digital literacy certifications. These are ours as opposed to, say, Microsoft and Adobe, which you can see on the screen. We help learners every step of the way, really. So from learning, be it self-access materials or classroom learning, or we support teachers through practice that helps you to actually get to the certification level that can actually help you to pass the exam. So the exams are not the it's the end result really, but it's the whole journey that we are really involved in. So I would like to focus a little bit on the research done by the World Economic Forum in 2020, where they identified seven clusters of different areas where most jobs in this new kind of digital economy will be created, or the number of which will be growing. And as you can see, some of these clusters are purely kind of IT related, such as data and AI, or engineering and cloud computing. Some of them are about kind of human factors, such as people and culture, or care economy. Care economy is actually the one where they envisage the most growth in jobs. But the thing is that these clusters represent about, I think, 96 jobs, and in all of these jobs, certain skills, certain digital skills, I should say, are present, even in those kind of human factor jobs. So if we look at the cluster about data and AI, obviously there is core data and AI skills which are required for these jobs. But the very good start is digital literacy, which basically is present in every cluster. So if you look at engineering and cloud computing, there's digital literacy there. If you look at product development, which is not directly IT related. Digital literacy is also there. Basically, it's a start for, or it's the foundational skills that everybody really should have for any job nowadays. And as you can see, there's a number of skills which are either IT related or which have something to do with content development, such as video and graphic design. And all of the skills that are highlighted in green on these slides is where we actually have some programs that support them, or you can learn them using our programs. I would like to draw your attention to a couple of programs that we have. So IC3 Digital Literacy Certification. This is a foundational digital literacy program, which does not only focuses on the kind of technological side of digital literacy, but also on altogether 7 different areas, such as digital citizenship, information management, content creation, communication, collaboration, safety and security. And this program is very closely aligned with DigComp, which is the European Union's digital skills framework, and for instance, the UNESCO framework as well. A step further would be a program called Information Technology Specialist, which basically focuses on various areas of IT. And it's a program for the beginners, but you have to start somewhere. Anything from artificial intelligence, cloud computing, databases, web design, software development. This is the starting point for these skills. This skilling gap is not only about IT, it's also about non-cognitive skills. And we have also some programs that cover this area. For instance, one of these is Communication Skills for Business. This is a program that basically helps you to communicate in a workplace environment. It's got another element to it, which is called English for IT, which gives you the right English language skills in order to work in the IT environment. All of these programs basically belong to us, but this is the example of our collaboration with one of the leading IT providers, such as Microsoft, where we have different programs such as Microsoft Office Specialist that can be considered as the digital literacy program, which basically helps candidates to learn how to use Microsoft Office in a really effective and efficient way. Microsoft Fundamentals is a suite of programs that focus on cloud computing. In this particular case, this is Microsoft Azure, so the cloud, and it's it could very well work together with, for instance, our IT specialist program that covers different areas of IT, and this particular one would be more about Azure. Microsoft Certified Educator is a program for teachers that helps them to use ICT in the classroom. So if when teachers, for instance, when they have already acquired the basic digital literacy skills by doing IC3 program, then they can move on to do Microsoft Certified Educator and try to apply those skills in the classroom. Our programs basically comprise a kind of a pathway with the foundation being digital literacy, and further levels are kind of more IT related, and this basically helps people to get to the expert level and do certifications such as Microsoft role-based certifications or Amazon certifications. We also decided to group some of those programs into what we call pathways. So we basically came up with different roles, which are kind of sought after in the current economy. So, for instance, when we look at master entrepreneur pathway, that would comprise of entrepreneurship and small business certification, and design for delight, which is our version of design thinking. Or if we look at the more kind of technical side, web developer freelancer, for instance, which is made up of 4 different programs: information technology specialist, HTML and CSS, information technology specialist, JavaScript, which basically cover the development side. There's Photoshop for content development and entrepreneurship and small business, which helps you basically run your own freelancer business. And yeah, that's basically it. If you have any questions, there's my email here, and yeah, I'm open to contact. Thank you.
That's fantastic, Arek. Thank you. Thank you so much. We can also use the chat for questions during the event. So if anybody does have a comment or would like to ask any of the speakers today a question, please do pop it in the chat. If we don't get to address it during this event, we will absolutely follow up with you and get you your answer. So thanks again, Arek. Now we'll move on to our panel. So we are thrilled to be able to have an esteemed panel with us today. We're going to talk about the topic of best practice in collaborations and fostering digital skills. So certification, as you know, is starting to get on the policy agenda. We have the European Digital Skills Certificate. We have work on micro-credentials recently completed that includes certification. And then, of course, within All Digital, there is the All Digital Manifesto, which points to the value of certification for recognition and for mobility of learning. But what does this look like in practice? So how do you integrate certification into the work that you're doing? On this panel, we're going to speak to colleagues who've done exactly that and are going to share their practical experience with us. So we have Gabriela Ford, we have Laurentiu Bunescu, and we have Guillem Canals that are going to join our panel today. So let me start with Gabby. So Gabby, for those of you who don't know, Gabby established EOS Foundation Romania with a vision to support digital inclusion in Romania, and then also went on to establish Certipro. And Certipro is the Certiport partner in Romania. They've done great work in developing strategic partnerships with the Ministry of Education and thousands of schools all over the country, bringing IT learning and certification closer to academic institutions. So welcome, Gabby. Can you tell me?
Thank you, Fiona. Nice to be here. Thank you.
It's great to have you. Can you tell me, Gabby, briefly about your work when it comes to digital skills and certification? So what is it that you do and why do you do it?
Oh, well, I didn't expect such a broad question, but yes, of course, I'd be happy to. It's sometimes when I have to start talking about the digital skills, I always like to start by, putting Romania or my own experience and context into the DESI kind of index, because maybe not many of you know that on the DESI index on human capital, Romania ranks lowest, and it's been ranking really low over the past few years. So you can just imagine the huge need for digital skilling, for digital inclusion, for certification, for anything to do with raising the level of digital competencies generally of all categories and all target groups. So as Fiona mentioned, yes, I've been with digital skills for a very, very long time, but on the past 8 years actually, I've been focusing also on certifications and how you actually measure the digital skills that people actually get. Because as you probably know, there's lots and lots of programs for SMEs in education, at universities, and programs are being delivered with European funding, with other support. But actually, it's very hard to tell, what students or what beneficiaries are gaining without actually having access to some standardized measurement system. Yeah. And I was always drawn to this kind of idea of how do I know I'm achieving my goal? How do I know that my training has achieved its objectives? How do I know that I'm moving people on from A to B and that there's actually some real learning in there? So that's why I was sort of continued my career, and my interests went along with certification, but I didn't lose my interest in the training side. And as Fiona said, I'd really like to sort of discuss here a little bit about, the benefits of working with an organization like Fundația EOS, because Fundația EOS has been around for 20 years. And as Laurentiu will mention, EOS is mainly dealing with training. So, looking at sort of the training area and having done really many programs in this area, the certification sort of blending in with all our training program is proving to have a huge benefit, because first of all, as I said, it validates the skills, but also it offers a huge differentiator on people's CV. So I think this has been growing together for a very long time. And do I get to speak again?
You'll get to speak again. Yes, don't worry. You don't have to.
Because I really want to say lots of things. It's been really useful to have this great partnership going for many years.
Fantastic, thank you. So I will pass now over to Laurentiu. So Laurentiu, as many of you know, is the head of digital education programs at Fundacja EOS. That's the organization that Gabby just mentioned. So he works on all the major programs of EOS. He does advocacy, networking, and fundraising. He's a member of the Global Digital Literacy Council. Very impressive. And he is a member of the All Digital Board. And of course, many of you know him from when he was CEO at All Digital. So welcome, Laurentiu. Thank you for being here. Same question to you, if I may. So from the perspective of EOS, then what do you do around digital skills and certification, and why?
Thank you very much, Fiona, for this very nice introduction. Thank you very much for the invitation, Fiona and Peter. I'm glad to see so many friends here and so many familiar faces, and also some new ones. First of all, I think it's great that you're having these efforts in trying to, let's say, to connect these two, how to call them ecosystems, I guess, the All Digital Network and the Certiport partners, which is, I think, very valuable. And we can only witness that here at the national level and local level in Romania. It's quite easy now to follow up on Gabi's perspective as Certipro, which is the certification partner, and I am going to offer mine as EOS, which is the training partner in this marriage. So I'm just going to try to answer on the question of why this marriage works actually, and I think first is because we actually really need each other. Fiona, you mentioned the All Digital Manifesto, which projects, let's say, a sort of integrated approach towards education on digital competences, and this is very important because it's also embraced by other partners and by the major funders as well. This starts from frameworks such as DigiComp and goes to quality training, to validation of competences, and to certification. But us as EOS, we don't really have the capacity to cover all these areas. So we'd rather focus on what's most important for us, which is the training part. And there is where we actually feel we have been really benefiting from the work we do with a strong partnership from a certification partners such as Certipro, because it opens up new opportunities by being able to offer this integrated education to our users, and of course increasing the impact on their professional and personal lives. So I think, over the last 3 years since I joined EOS in 2019, we have worked with Certipro in, I think, the majority of our projects, to be honest. Maybe the pandemic helped in a way, because of course everything moved online, people had more time to learn and to acquire certifications for jobs in which they probably didn't think they will have to go. But as you said, technology plays a role in everything today. And I think this partnership is beneficial for both partners, as I said. I also have a couple of examples of projects in which this value of partnership is actually very visible. But I'm not sure. Maybe I can tell this a bit later after Guillem is introducing his work.
Perfect. Yes. Thank you. Thank you, Laurentiu. Yeah, let's pass to Guillem and let's hear from his side. So Guillem is a project manager in socio-educational and e-inclusion areas for Fundación Esplai. He's also a digital youth worker with a specialty in programming, educational robotics, and 3D printing, which is very cool. And he's also been overseeing for more than the last 5 years, the digital literacy certification and AI projects in Fundación Esplai. So welcome, Guillem. Thank you for being here. Same question to you. Tell me about your work when it comes to digital skills and certs, and what you do and why?
Thank you very much, Fiona, and thank you to invite us as an NGO here today to explain the work that we are doing with certification. Let me introduce a little bit our organization. Fundación Esplai is an NGO founded in 1999, and its mission is to promote citizen empowerment and their commitment to improving society from the perspective of rights, inclusion, and transformation with a special focus on youth. All this through community and social intervention, social educational actions, inclusion in the field of information and communication technologies, working with a network that we call here the third sector. That's the consortium of the NGOs and the other social agents here in Spain. Well, in our case, as an organization in 2012, we joined forces with Microsoft and also PUE, that is an agent here in Spain, to carry out with training and certification process aimed first at young people in vulnerable situations, and then we provided to general public. So far, we have directly and indirectly helped about 18,000 people to become certified here in Spain. So at this point, for us, the value of certification has always been the value of improving the employability of the people who participate in our programs. As you can see in the video that I'm going to share there in the chat, okay, we have that we're going to share in a few minutes in the chat. We have been insisting for many years that certification helps the active job research process. So we are an organization that since that time we are talking to other organizations like NGOs to explain the value of the certification. So we are not just providing certification as Fundación Esplai. So we are trying to train other organizations as NGOs to be to become a certification centers, in order to provide to these groups, to these vulnerable groups, the same opportunities that other people can have in their lives. So in other way, we are democratizing. Sorry for my English. We are democratizing the certification, the rights to be certificate, whatever is your social stage. Okay, so as an NGO, we provide, or we want to focus on the value of certification for those people who don't have the same opportunities to others to go to that way.
Awesome. Thank you, Guillem. So I see there's kind of two models emerging here. The first is really where we have the marriage, the partnership between Gabby and Laurenciu's kind of organizations, where EOS does the training, Certipro provides the certification, and you work together in projects. And then with Fundación Esplai, it is a different model where it's one organization that is both the training and the certification provider. One thing that I noticed that everybody, I think, has mentioned is projects. And I'd like to ask about the certification and the funding element for projects. So what is the value of certification from your perspective when it comes to funding programs, when it comes to opportunities and dealing with donors? And I'll let whoever would like to take that question go ahead and jump in and answer.
Well, maybe I should go, Fiona, because I've been looking forward to say a few more.
Okay, thank you.
A few more things. Actually, before I go on to sort of European funded projects and you know why certification is really important in that kind of area, I'd also like to say that as you mentioned, there are two emerging models from the Romanian model and the Spanish model in what Guillem has shared with us. But in actual fact, this basically proves that that they both merge to the same thing. That generally when you develop a project of training, there should be also something like certification attached to it, whether it is being done by different partners or by the same organization. Of course, you will find the various ways of implementing this kind of work. But the important thing is that you actually offer a concerted or a sort of a unique kind of model through which you can take beneficiaries through selection, training, practice, certification. I mean, I go back to what Arek was saying, that Certiport is offering this full pathway, you know, of learn, practice, certify. Now for us, learn is in Romania, because we're a small geography, is useful because for users that can actually speak English, because a lot of the learning materials are in English. Of course, they're being localized as we speak all the time, but obviously the bigger geographies have priority. So for us, working with Fundația EOS gave us an advantage because we could just take over learning materials and very, very quickly create a learning environment that would match the same learning objectives and the same certification objectives, like, you know, I was talking about. And just if I can just come in with one example, and then I'll go onto the funding. For example, we ran together with Microsoft a really big cloud campaign. And I think that is the case all across CE and all across Europe. And we share that kind of workload because EOS is the entity that is providing all the training and bringing together all universities and students in these universities. And Certipro, once they are trained, Certipro is ensuring that they actually get a valid experience in terms of practicing for the exam, taking the exam in one of these certified testing centers, and it's all just really working well. In actual fact, Romania, Certipro and EOS have worked so well together that we are now coordinating the CE campaign, the Central and Eastern Europe sort of campaign for Asia Cloud promotion, and that is because we kind of work so well together that we bring both sets of experiences, you know, in terms of learning and certification and bringing together this community. Just very briefly to answer your question about the funding and the European funding and why certification is important, I think more or less this is answered by really all the information on all the resources that is being put out there by the European Commission, for example, because there's always, beyond the training and beyond everything else, there's always some measurement, some proof that, you know, that things have happened and they have moved the beneficiaries on from you know, through their pathways. It is also, as you said, a big preoccupation at the moment in Europe to discuss this European certificate. And I think Certipro and Certiport obviously is coming into, you know, with a lot of know-how in this area of certification and how you actually validate skills of people. And I know for sure that this will be the case also in Romania, because through the National Resilience Program, there is a specific mention about how you can actually move target groups and populations with no digital skills into the area of basic digital skills and then move them on into, you know, higher level information skills. So yeah, I think it speaks for itself.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's great. Thank you, Gabby. So Laurentiu, then funding for projects with certification from your perspective, anything to add?
Sure. Yeah, I think when it comes to funding, it is very important to mention the focus on employability, which is you know, getting more and more important within the funding strategies, not only for the European Commission but also for the industry funders. And you know, to get from training to employ, to be better employable, to be more employable, I think the validation of skills and the certification has a very important role. And this is actually helping us in the work that we do together with Certipro. And I will give an example that is actually The audience is a bit different from what Gabi said. Gabi mentioned the work we do with students and universities, and I will now mention the work we do with the wider community. So in this case, it's, I'm going to talk about the grants that we receive from Microsoft Philanthropies, in which we work and we target those people that have, with jobs that have been affected by the pandemic or the digital transformation. So unemployed people, people that lack basic digital skills. And where we have built, I think it was in 2021, a platform that is called EOS Digital Academy. And this acts like a one-stop shop for these people. And it offers a full range of assessment tools, training, validation of skills and certification as well. And it is very important because otherwise, without having Certipro on board, we wouldn't have been able to do everything in one place. We would have done the training, but then it would have been more difficult to follow up on the validation and assessment of skills. And I think this is really important because we have already had more than 5,000 people going through the platform and the different services that we offer. And of course, Microsoft's interest is to continue with us, and we hope that this will be, a project that will stay there for a few years, because as Gabi mentioned before, in Romania, we don't do very well when it comes to digital competences and employability in this sector. So yeah, I think that's it. It's extremely important for the funding. And I would strongly encourage the all digital members and other training providers that are on this call to look out and engage with Certiport certification providers in their own countries, or to go and to hear more about the example from Guillem and the work that they do in Spain, because this kind of partnership is tested here in Romania. It works. This marriage works.
Thank you. And that's the perfect segue to Guillem then for his comments on this.
Yeah, thank you very much, Laurentiu. Okay, we think that we are living the era of alliance. So we are making this kind of alliance with all these consortiums and the opportunities that Certiport bring us to enter to a new level for us. For example, after our last participation in 2020 in the consortium organized by Certiport and coordinated by the EOS, with fundings from the European Institute of Innovation and Technology, we've been able to bring IC3 competences certification to nearly 500 girls all over Europe. This kind of partnership for us benefits organizations like us working as an European level for a new level of digital literacy, and also provides us the one thing that for us is so important is the lab, is the laboratory where we can train some different projects, and then this project belongs to a new project here in Spain. Now we have a project called Vitaminadas that belongs from this expertise from the consortium. So this kind of opportunities with other partners that are providing certification like you, or to enter to these new opportunities is also something amazing to grow up as an organization. And also to be next to the opportunities or the tools that, for example, Certiport provides. I will give you an example. Some of the benefits we are currently realizing due to the pandemic have been for example, the use of the entire remote examination system provided by Certiport in the exams from home goes. Thanks to this, the last year we were able to maintain the 3,000 certifications that we've been doing every year, despite of the lockdown. So to be near of this kind of consortium, to be near to Certiport and the tools that they are offering is another way to maintain the work that you are doing every day on your organization. So I also animate the people to bring to all the organizations and to get together in this kind of projects.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Guillem. I'm aware of time, guys. I'd love to continue this discussion, but we are coming to very close to the closing of the event. I think in summary, of this last point, the message that I take is that having this capability to include certification opens doors in terms of funding, whether it's national funding through the ESF or resilience facility funding, or even private sector funding was mentioned. It's the return on investment that certification provides that is valuable. So I wish we had longer to talk, but I'd like to thank the three of you very sincerely for your time and for sharing these insights with us. I think it's hugely helpful. So thank you all very much. Guillem, I know you wanted to say a word about an event that you have coming up. Could you do it, do you think, in maybe 1 minute? Is that too?
Yeah, I will try it. I will try it.
Thank
Now
you.
we just want to mention that we are an organization with the help of All Digital and Somos Digital, a big event on May, on the 26th of May. Well, we are nearly in the 25, 26, and 27, but the big event is going to happen on the 26th. So we are discussing about digital rights, because when we talk about digital competence, we also talking about digital rights, and we are organizing a big event there in in Barcelona, in Centre Esplai. We will have a kind of workshops talking about digital rights, and also the intervention of a very important speakers that gonna make a big event, confluencing the people from Europe and Spain and all together here. So please don't miss the information that we're gonna send you, or Fiona gonna send you by mail. And all you are invited to follow on the stream.
Fantastic. Thank you so much.
Thank
I think
you.
that was even under a minute. Well done.
Thank you.
So brilliant. Thanks a lot. So moving on to the next section now, which is around joining forces for impact. And this is really just to say, well, a couple of things. So first of all, we've compiled a great resource pack that we will send to everyone at this event. So it goes into detail about the value of certification. It includes videos and includes resources about education and brochures and assets, even a policy paper. We also have a fabulous new publication about the relationship between our IC3 digital literacy program and the DigComp framework. So we will be sure to include that in the resource pack, and you don't have to do anything. We will send that to you. But for those of you who would like to see how all of this actually works in practice and how easy it is to kind of integrate certification, or who would like to become a test center, or who are just interested in trying out a certification exam, we are really happy to be able to provide a free exam voucher to anyone who would like it. And we will also provide some learning and practice materials as well. So if you are interested in this, please either pop your name in the chat or send me an email. I have just put my email address in the chat. So feel free to reach out and let me know that you are interested in that. So if you're not sure which certification program you are interested in, go to our website. There's lots of information about the programs that are available there. We will also share Arek's presentation from this event, so you can look through that. And we hope and we look forward to working with you in the future. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out for this. And with that, I will hand you back to Peter for the closing. And I would just like to say thank you to all of you for attending, and thanks again to the team at All Digital for such super support and collaboration throughout. Back to you, Peter.
Thank you very much, Fiona. And just using the last minute for thanking the contributors, panelists, presenters, Gabriela, Laurentiu, Guillem, thank you very much for accepting our invitation to the panel. And Guillem, also to talk about this Digital Rights Conference. We are also looking forward as All Digital is going to participate there in person, hopefully. Arek, thank you very much for your presentation. And finally, Fiona, thank you really much for your support and co-organizing this very interesting event. And lastly, don't forget about All Digital Week's activities. There is a great list of international events coming up this week. As Gabriela, my colleague, mentioned earlier, we have events related to fostering digital literacy and tackling disinformation. Next week, we are going to talk about DigComp framework, the new DigComp 2.2 on Monday, together with JRC, and a number of other events related to digital competence framework-related projects and training programs. Then we are going to talk about achieving cybersecurity and safer internet with the sponsorship and support of Microsoft on week 4, starting on the 4th of April. And finally, starting on the 11th of April, a number of events related to STEM and STEAM, skills for society, and also girls and women's participation in STEM subjects and careers. So keep an eye on the list of international events, but not only those, because we have a great number of local events, local, regional, national level events. Currently on the All Digital Weeks campaign map, we can see 61 partners providing 375 events already. And I'm sure that we will have more and more events coming up. So thank you very much again. The recording of this event will be found on the event's website and together with the presentations. And a last word, I'm giving the floor to my colleague Victoria, who has a kind request from you.
Thank you, Peter. I would like to kindly request you, for those who want to, to turn on your camera so we can take a group picture to close this successful event. Thank you very much. So whenever you're ready, please, everybody turn on. It's so great to see you. All right. My colleague Madalena and I will make sure that we get all the screenshots. So here we go. 1, 2, 3, smile. Thank you. Yes, very good. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for joining us today and looking forward to see you in other events.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.